Hello everyone, welcome back to Arpita Sharma ki NCERT Kaksha. Today we are going to start with chapter 3 US hegemony in world politics. Class 12 की pol science की NCERT है जिसमें आज हम chapter number 3 start कर रहे हैं. Now coming straight to the topic here, one thing we need to understand first. What is the meaning of hegemony? Hegemony का मतलब क्या होता है ये समझ लेते हैं. So basically hegemony is the political, you can write it down also. It is the political, economic and military predominance of one state or one country over the other nation. एक नेशन जब politically, economically, militarily dominate करता है बाकी सारे states को, उसे हम hegemony बोलते हैं. That is hegemony. Okay. So basically it means the leadership or predominance of one state over others by virtue of its military, economic and political power and cultural superiority. That is the meaning of hegemony. And hegemony, by just going through the definition only, we can say that hegemony basically is of three types. कितने types की hegemony होती है? Predominance किस तरीके से कर सकता है कोई nation? First is the military hegemony. That is, using your military superiority, you are dominating the other nation, or you are posing as a leader, over the other nations. Second is political hegemony. And third is the economic hegemony. तो ये तीन तरीके की hegemony होती है through which, by virtue of which, the nation exerts dominance or leadership over the other states. Okay, so that is the exact meaning of hegemony. Now we know, we have studied in the previous two chapters that USSR basically disintegrated in which year? In 1991. USSR का बंटवारा हो गया था, USSR divide हो गया था into different states in 1991, and this disintegration it led to, ये जो disintegration हुआ था, बंटवारा हुआ था USSR का, it led to the beginning, write it down, it led to the beginning of what? Of US hegemony. यूएस डोमिनेंस की यहाँ पर स्टार्टिंग हो गई, बिकॉज एक सुपर पावर बिखर गई अलग अलग नेशंस में, एंड दैट लेफ्ट अस विद यूएस एज द मेजर सुपर पावर इन दैट एरा, इन दैट टाइम पीरियड, एंड हेंस स्टार्टेड द यूएस हेजेमनी व्हिच स्टार्टेड इन 1991. 1991 में यूएस प्रीडोमिनेंस स्टार्ट हो गया, एंड इट रिमेन्ड विद ऑल इट्स पावर्स इनहैंस्ड एंड इंटैक्ट. In this chapter, first we are going to look into the era in the period of US dominance, or you can say a unipolar world where there was one superpower which was US. Then we will study the story of first Gulf War. फिर इसके अंदर हम पढ़ेंगे पहला जो Gulf War हुआ था, ठीक है? What was the Gulf War? When Kuwait was invaded by Iraq in 1990. Okay, and then it was ultimately annexed by Iraq. तो हम पहला Gulf War यहाँ पर पढ़ेंगे. This is really important also for prelims. Okay, then this led to this first Gulf War. It led to the US led invasion of Iraq. इराक का जो US के द्वारा इराक में invasion हुआ था, ठीक है, वो हम यहाँ पर पढ़ने वाले हैं, through which US established its hegemony, its predominance over the world. Then we will study India's policy options in dealing with US. इंडिया ने कैसे US की predominance को deal किया, cater किया, हम वो पढ़ेंगे. Finally, we turn to see if there are challenges to this hegemony or whether it can be overcome or not. अगर कोई एक power dominate करती है पूरी दुनिया को, तो क्या उसमें कुछ challenges, कुछ problems आ सकते हैं, और अगर आ सकते हैं तो उसको कैसे overcome किया जा सके. All of this we are going to study. So basically this chapter is divided into three aspects. We will study this chapter through three aspects. First will be the first Gulf War 1990 में जो होता है. Then we will study US hegemony. Then we will study the India's reaction or India's way of dealing with US hegemony. And at the end conclusion में हम we will study whether hegemony is good, and if it is full of challenges, how we can overcome those challenges. These are the three aspects of this chapter that we are going to study. Now before we start this chapter, let us have a look at a very important point over here, which as UPSC aspirants you should know. We will follow the popular usage of the word America to refer to the United States of America. United States of America वैसे तो बोलते हैं, but हम यहाँ पर United States of America को अमेरिका बोलकर संबोधित करेंगे, ठीक है? We are going to refer it to America only. But it may be useful to remind ourselves that this expression of America covers North America and South America. These are the two continents. And the US is only one of the countries of the American continent. North America, South America, total they are the American continent. United States or US is only one of the countries of the American continent. So the use of the word America is solely for the US. Okay, it is already a sign of the US hegemony that we seek to understand in this chapter. America को, American continent को हम US बोलते हैं. So basically this reflects the hegemony of US. Okay, US तो एक American continent का एक one of the countries है. बट हम अमेरिका को डिनोट करने के लिए यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका यूएस का वर्ड यूज करते हैं हम यहाँ पर. वी डोंट कॉल इट यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका और इवन अमेरिका, वी कॉल इट यूएस. Why? That shows the US, the American hegemony, which is still prominent in the world, and that we are going to study. Why this hegemony is prominent? Why it is said US is one of the most important superpowers? Why being on friendly terms with US is necessary for most of the nations, even in today's time? We are going to study that in this chapter. Now let us start with a very important point in this chapter, which is the beginning of the New World Order. New World Order means, देखो, before 1991 there were two powers which were existing, US and USSR. Now when USSR suddenly collapsed in 1991, US remained. USSR तो collapse हो गया ना. Now only one superpower remained, that is US. And US remained as very intact, even it enhanced in superiority, because USSR बिखर गया तो US इसकी position ज़्यादा prominent हो गई. Okay, and some of the countries which came out of USSR, they even supported US. So it basically enhanced in power and superiority. So we can say that the new world order began in 1991 when USSR collapsed. ये जो नया world order है कि एक सुपर पावर बचा है हमारे पास, ये स्टार्ट ही हुआ 1991 से. So US hegemony started in 1991. But the point here to note is that some aspects of US hegemony did not emerge in 1991. We have to go back to the end of Second World War in 1945. So the first aspect here is that some parts of US hegemony did not start in 1991. They started, back in the Second World War. And secondly, that, the US did not start behaving like a very powerful superpower or hegemonic power right from 1991. It became clear much later that the world was in fact living in a period of hegemony. So we are going to go back to 1990 right now, just a year before USSR collapsed. Now we know that in August 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait. Here you can see the map of Iraq and Kuwait. आप देखोगे यहाँ पर ये है Kuwait, this is Iraq. 1990 का map है. Here when Iraq invaded Kuwait, it rapidly occupied Kuwait and annexed it, made it a part of its own nation. Right? But United Nations, after a series of deliberations and talking and diplomatic attempts, they failed. So United Nations mandated the liberation of Kuwait by force. Even for United Nations, this was a dramatic decision, because अभी recently Cold War खत्म हुआ था, and then this invasion of Kuwait took place. So this was a very dramatic decision taken by United Nations, and we know United Nations में US has a very important role to play before behind the establishment of United Nations. So US very gradually and very slowly started coming to the forefront in major decision making processes. हमको पता है यूनाइटेड नेशंस को स्टैब्लिश करने के पीछे यूएस का बड़ा हाथ था. जब यूनाइटेड नेशन ने ये डिसीजन लिया ना कि कुवैत को बलपूर्वक हमें फ्री कराना पड़ेगा इराक से, तो यूएस सामने आया. धीरे धीरे हमें पता चला कि यूएस अब मेजर डिसीजन मेकिंग जो प्रोसेस है उसमें यूएस की ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पार्टिसिपेट कर रही है. So there was a massive coalition force of 660,000 troops from 34 countries who fought against Iraq and defeated Iraq. And that was known as the First Gulf War. ये आता है आपका First Gulf War. This is also known as Operation Desert Storm. इसको Operation Desert Storm भी बोलते हैं, और you can call it the First Gulf War also. So this is again important for prelims. They can ask you कि First Gulf War was also known as, or they can ask you Operation Desert Storm was basically the First Gulf War only. ठीक है, ये point आपको याद रखना है यहाँ. And this war was overwhelmingly American. It revealed the vast technological gap that had opened up between US military capability and other countries. यहाँ पर इस ऑपरेशन में हमें देखने को मिला कि this was an American operation. ठीक है, write it down. This was an American operation against Iraq. So we saw the military related technology that America had. in comparison with the other nations, and that is why this was the first, you can say, point after 1991. This was the first event after 1990, after the end of Cold War, that we saw America rising as a superpower, because in this war the smart bombs were used by America. Write it down. इस वॉर में ना स्मार्ट बॉम्ब्स यूज किए गए थे अमेरिका के द्वारा. And this was basically a computer war because the bombs were operated through computers. उस time पर during 1990 you are using computer to activate the bombs. So that means that shows the vast technological superiority in military on the side of USA. Widespread television coverage also made it a video game war, with viewers around the world watching the destruction of Iraqi forces live on television in the comfort of their living rooms. तो मतलब ये देखो टेलीवाइज्ड वॉर था, इसकी पूरी मीडिया कवरेज हो रही थी, घर पे बैठे आप देख रहे हो कि कैसे कंप्यूटर वॉर चल रहा है एक तरीके से. Incredibly, the US may actually have made a profit from the war, you can say. According to many reports, the US received money from countries like Germany, Japan, Saudi Arabia than it had spent on the war. So that increased the US's position enhanced the US's position as a superpower, as a hegemony. यहाँ पर military और technology का प्रदर्शन हुआ था US के साइड से, ये समझ लीजिए, on the cost of so many lives. Now started the Clinton years, मतलब under Bill Clinton, what was the position of US? We know that despite winning the first Gulf War, George H.W. Bush, he lost the US presidential elections of 1992. And who won the election? William Jefferson, that is Bill Clinton of the Democratic Party, he won the elections, who had campaigned on the domestic rather than foreign policy issues. तो यहाँ पर Bill Jefferson Clinton, that is Bill Clinton, he fought the presidential election on the basis of the domestic issues. Basically, he catered to the interest of the citizens. जितने भी domestic issues हैं जो citizens के welfare के लिए अच्छे हैं, ये उन issues को उठाकर उनके ऊपर इन्होंने election लड़ा था. He did not fight the election because he knew that militarily and from the foreign policy aspect we are very strong. So he was very clever enough to use the domestic issues to win the elections, to win the votes of the people. इनको पता था कि भाई कोई भी अटैक वगैरह हो, हमारी यूएस जो मिलिट्री पावर है, टेक्नोलॉजिकल पावर है, काफी स्ट्रांग है, तो हम हारने वाले तो है नहीं. तो यहाँ पर लोगों का मत जीतते हैं, लोगों के मन को जीतना है. This Clinton ji, he won again in 1996. He won the election in 1992. Then again in 1996 he won the election. फिर से ये जीते थे, 4 साल बाद वापस इलेक्शन होते हैं. He won again. And during this Clinton years, it often seemed that US had withdrawn into its internal affairs. It was not fully engaged in the world politics during the period of Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton basically wanted US to become internally strong. तो यहाँ पर you can write, he wanted internal strength. ये चाहते थे कि हम अंदर से भी हम strong बने. So that is why during the period of Bill Clinton, US had withdrawn into its internal affairs. It was not fully engaged in world politics. In foreign policy, the Clinton government tended to focus on soft issues. This is again important. Bill Clinton ना foreign policies पे भी काम करते थे. Foreign policies were not entirely neglected, but he targeted the soft issues. What are the soft issues in foreign policy? This is again important for your interview. अगर आप IFS के लिए select हो जाते हो, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए what are the soft issues in foreign policy. The soft issues are, write it down, democracy, promotion, how democratic your nation and your relationship with other nations is. Secondly, climate change. That is why all the nations also focus on climate changes. And world trade. This is very essential. A little war can also disrupt the entire world's trade. For example, Russia and Ukraine's war right now, it has disrupted the trade economy of so many nations. World trade, democracy promotion, climate change, these are the soft issues in foreign policy. So what are the hard issues? Hard issues क्या होते हैं foreign policies के? Hard issues in a foreign policy are, write down, military power and security, internal and external security. These are the hard issues in politics. ओके तो ये आपको पॉइंट्स पता होने चाहिए. यू आर गोइंग टू वर्क विद मिनिस्टर्स. आप वंस यू क्लियर दिस एग्जाम यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू वर्क वेरी इंडिपेंडेंटली. यू आर गोइंग टू वर्क विद द मिनिस्टर्स. ओके यू विल बी अ पार्ट ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव. आपको एग्जीक्यूटिव के साथ मिलकर काम करना पड़ेगा. सो यू शुड नो व्हाट आर द हार्ड इश्यूज एंड व्हाट आर द सॉफ्ट इश्यूज. ओनली देन यू विल बी इन अ पोजीशन टू गिव एडवाइस टू द मिनिस्टर्स. राइट. आपका काम कंसल्टेटिव रहेगा, आपका काम ऑन फील्ड भी रहेगा, आपका काम एग्जीक्यूटिव के साथ रहेगा. तो आपको ये सब इश्यूज के बारे में नॉलेज अच्छी होनी चाहिए, तभी तो आप पॉलिसीज इंप्लीमेंटेशन में हेल्प कर पाओगे. इफ यू डू नॉट नो अबाउट दीज इश्यूज हाउ विल यू हेल्प द मिनिस्टर्स एंड द गवर्नमेंट इन इंप्लीमेंटिंग देयर प्लान्स एंड पॉलिसीज. राइट. So you should be aware of this. Do not just be a रट्टू तोता. रट्टू तोता नहीं बनना इस एग्जाम में. हर चीज को एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर की नजर से देखनी है. एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर कैसे चीजों को देखता है, आउटलुक आपको अपना चेंज करना है. यू आर नो लॉन्गर द ह्यूमन बीइंग दैट यू वर बिफोर यू एंटर्ड इनटू दिस प्रिपरेशन. नाउ यू हैव टू थिंक एंड बी लाइक एन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर. Okay, now I told you that Bill Clinton's government was focusing on internal issues. But still, during the period of Clinton, the US showed its military powers. And there were 3 occasions in which US government displayed its military superiority. For example, in 1999, US for the first time during the Clinton government showed its military skills in response to Yugoslavian actions against the predominantly Albanian population in the province of Kosovo. Then in second case was when the US embassies were bombed in Nairobi, Kenya and Dar es Salaam. There also US sent its military to you can say act against the bombings. And third time it was Operation Infinite Reach. This was very important. This is important for prelims also. This operation was launched by US. They can give you the name of the operation. Then they will ask you which of the following nations launched this operation. Operation Infinite Reach. They will give you 4 options. US, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India. So यहाँ पर the correct answer will be A, US. US launched this operation which was a series of cruise missile strikes. So here US displayed its air bombings also. यहाँ पर US ने अपनी technological advancement missile strikes के दौरान भी दिखाई on the Al-Qaeda terrorist targets in Sudan and Afghanistan. Then there was the 9/11 and the global war on terror. 9/11 का अटैक तो you must be remembering it. September 11th, 2001, a very dreadful day when 4 American commercial aircrafts were hijacked and they were flew into important buildings in the US. Remember it? One airliner each crashed into the north and south towers of the World Trade Center. Where is World Trade Center? It is in New York. तो न्यूयॉर्क में आपने देखा था साउथ और नॉर्थ टावर्स कितनी बुरी तरीके से अटैक हुआ था उनके ऊपर. The two airliners, each of them, they attacked the north and south towers of WTC. And the third aircraft crashed into the Pentagon building in Arlington, which is in Virginia, जहाँ पर US Defense Department का headquarter है. This was a very big attack. US के defense headquarter में attack कर दिया था. So that shows that basically shook up the government of US. वहां पर क्या हुआ था कि आप यूएस के मतलब अरब कंट्रीज के कुछ टेररिस्ट थे, 19 हाईजैकर्स थे, उन्होंने इतनी अपना गट दिखा दिया कि भाई हम वहां यूएस का जो डिफेंस मिलिट्री का हेडक्वार्टर है वहां भी पहुंच सकते हैं. एंड दीज अटैक्स वर नोन एज 9/11. वाई? बिकॉज 11 सितंबर का हुआ था ना. 9th सितंबर इज द 9th मंथ, 11 तारीख को, तो 9/11 अटैक्स. ओके. Now the US response was very swift. That is why US emerged out as a superpower. The US response to 9/11 was very swift and very ferocious. George W. Bush had succeeded Clinton in the US presidency by this time. And here US launched a very famous operation. Write it down. The operation was Operation Enduring Freedom. Operation Enduring Freedom. This was the operation. It was a part of the global war on terror. Basically US ने announce कर दिया था अब टेररिज्म को हम नहीं सहेंगे, बिकॉज घर में घुसकर अटैक हुआ है ना उनके, तो उन्होंने ग्लोबल वॉर लॉन्च कर दिया. एंड द ऑपरेशन वाज अगेंस्ट ऑल दोज हु वर सस्पेक्टेड टू बी बिहाइंड द 9/11 अटैक. मेनली इट वाज अल-कायदा एंड तालिबान इन अफगानिस्तान. And there were arrests which were made all over the world by US forces, often without the knowledge of the government of the persons being arrested. मतलब जिस कंट्री में जाके वो अरेस्ट कर रहे हैं टेररिस्ट को, उस कंट्री की गवर्नमेंट को भी नहीं पता कि हमारी कंट्री में आके ये अरेस्ट कर रहे हैं. These persons were transported across countries and they were detained in secret prisons. This was the most ferocious action taken by US, which made US the superpower that we call it today. Then there was the Iraq invasion, through which US basically showed its superiority and dominance. Operation Iraqi Freedom, it was launched by the US on 19th of March 2003 and it was joined by more than 40 other nations. The basic purpose of this operation was to prevent Iraq from developing weapons of mass destruction, which is also commonly known as WMD. But there was no evidence of WMD being developed by Iraq at that time. So it was speculated that this invasion of US through this operation on Iraq, it was basically to control Iraqi oil fields. तो उस वक्त ना कुछ ऐसा प्रूफ नहीं था कि WMD डेवलप कर रहा है इराक, तो इसलिए ये स्पेक्यूलेट किया गया दुनिया के द्वारा कि यूएस इराक के ऑयल फील्ड्स को कंट्रोल करने के लिए इस इन्वेजन को कर रहा है. द यूएस इन्वेजन ऑफ इराक वाज अ मिलिट्री एंड पॉलिटिकल फेलियर because the other nations started having this doubt that US basically wants to control the oil fields of Iraq, because during this operation there were 3000 US military personnel who lost their lives. इराक में भी there were many casualties, बहुत ज्यादा, यूएस की कैजुअलिटी से भी तो ज्यादा इराक की कैजुअलिटी थी. ओके, एंड देयर वर 3 constraints on American power now. अब इस इन्वेजन के बाद ना अमेरिकन पावर पे बेसिकली 3 constraints या 3 रुकावटें आनी शुरू हो गई. What were those constraints? Do you remember that during this operation who was there in Iraq? There was Saddam Hussein. So the government of Saddam Hussein fell during this operation. But again, US was not being able to pacify Iraq. That is why the operation failed. Okay. So these 3 constraints on American power are, first, the institutional architecture of the America. That is the first constraint on American power. Now, a system of division of powers between the 3 branches of government, it places a significant amount of brake upon the unrestrained and immoderate exercise of America's military power by the executive branch. तो हमको पता है in every democratic nation we have 3 branches, the executive, judiciary, legislature, right? And there is a system of checks and balances. The legislature, if executive is trying to dominate, legislature will step in. If judiciary is trying to dominate, executive यहाँ पर step in करेगा. Legislature is being dominant, then judiciary will step in. So that way there is a balance which is maintained throughout the nation. So therefore the US, it could not become very dominant militarily because of legislature and judiciary. मिलिट्री इतनी ज्यादा डोमिनेट क्यों नहीं हुई? क्योंकि लेजिस्लेचर और जुडिशरी ने एक बैलेंस बना के रखा. सो देयर वाज द फर्स्ट कॉन्स्ट्रेंट ऑन अमेरिकन पावर कि भाई ये इतना ज्यादा हाथ से बाहर नहीं गई. क्यों? क्योंकि बाकी के जो सब ब्रांचेस थे वो इसको कंट्रोल में रख रहे थे. The second restriction or constraint on American power is also domestic in nature. It comes from the open nature of American society. Although the American mass media may from time to time impose or promote a particular perspective on domestic public opinion in the US, there is a deep skepticism regarding the purpose and methods of government in the American political culture. And this factor in the long run is a huge constraint on US military action overseas also. Because if, during the Iraqi freedom movement also, when Iraq was invaded by America, then also the citizens of America were against it. There were 3000 American soldiers who lost their lives. The families of these 3000 people, they started protesting against this operation, which was meaningless because there was no proof that Iraq is creating the weapon of mass destruction, and still you are sacrificing so many American people, the youth of America, in this war. So the domestic open nature of American society, when the public can speak against the government, that also constrains the military power of America. यहाँ पर आप 3000 लोगों को अमेरिका से रिक्रूट करके बाहर मरने के लिए भेज रहे हो. क्यों? क्योंकि आपको इराक के ऑयल फील्ड्स को कंट्रोल करना है. तो सोसाइटी बोलेगी नहीं क्या? तो अमेरिका की सोसाइटी का नेचर बहुत ओपन है. वो गवर्नमेंट अगर कुछ उल्टा सीधा करने की कोशिश करती है तो सोसाइटी सड़क पे आ जाती है कि भाई ये गलत बात है, हम इसको प्रोटेस्ट करेंगे इसका. तो इसी वजह से यूएस की जो मिलिट्री पावर है वो थोड़ी कंट्रोल में रहती है. एंड थर्ड कॉन्स्ट्रेंट इज, it is very important, it is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is only organization in the international system that could possibly moderate the exercise of American power. US obviously has an enormous interest in keeping the alliance of democracies that follow the market economies alive. Therefore, it is possible that its allies in the NATO will be able to moderate the exercise of US hegemony. US NATO को तो हटाएगा नहीं, नाटो के थ्रू तो वो बाकी लोगों की इकोनॉमीज को कंट्रोल में रखता है. तो जब खुद ही वो एक्सेस उल्टी सीधी हरकत करने लगेगा, मिलिटरीली अपने पावर को, पोजीशन को गलत इस्तेमाल करेगा, तो बाकी नेशंस का ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑब्जेक्शन करेंगे ही. सो नाटो इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द रीजन व्हाई अमेरिकन मिलिट्री पावर stays under control. These are the three constraints to regulate the American power, the US hegemony. Now the next important aspect here is, what is India's relationship with the US? We know that during the Cold War के दौरान India basically was the closest. किसके साथ था closest? In the second chapter we have studied it in detail. India was closest with Soviet Union. इंडिया यूएसएसआर के साथ ज्यादा क्लोज था, बिकॉज अभी आपको याद है 1971 द बांग्लादेश लिबरेशन वॉर, यूएस एंड पाकिस्तान स्टूड अगेंस्ट इंडिया, बट हु हेल्प्ड एंड केम फॉरवर्ड एंड साइंड द फ्रेंडशिप ट्रीटी विद इंडिया? यूएसएसआर, द सोवियत यूनियन. सो इंडिया हैड द क्लोजेस्ट रिलेशनशिप विद यूएसएसआर. ये सब हमने पढ़ा है फर्स्ट चैप्टर में, सेकेंड चैप्टर में. And over the years, India decided to liberalize its economy. By the period of 1991, we had already passed the LPG reforms ना, तो we were opening up our economy. हम क्या कर रहे थे? हम अपने इकोनॉमी को लिबरलाइज कर रहे थे. ठीक है, we were liberalizing our economy. We were integrating our economy. हम किसके साथ इंटीग्रेट करते? With the world. We were integrating what? We were integrating and liberalizing our economy. This made India very attractive. इससे इंडिया क्या बना? बहुत अट्रैक्टिव बना. जब आप ओपन अप करते हो किसी के साथ, बताते हो हमारे पास ये है, हमारे पास वो है, हम ट्रेड करने के लिए तैयार हैं, तो आप अट्रैक्टिव बन जाते हो ना ऑटोमेटिकली. सो इट वॉज बिकमिंग अट्रैक्टिव इकोनॉमिक, राइट इट डाउन, अट्रैक्टिव इकोनॉमिक पावर, और यू कैन से पार्टनर, ओके, फॉर अ नंबर ऑफ कंट्रीज इंक्लूडिंग यूएस. यूएस के लिए भी तो ये इकोनॉमिक अट्रैक्टिव इकोनॉमिक पावर पार्टनर बन गया था. एंड देयर वर टू डायमेंशंस व्हिच इमर्ज्ड इन द इंडो यूएस फ्रेंडशिप. इंडिया और यूएस के फ्रेंडशिप में दो डायमेंशंस निकल कर आए. फर्स्ट वाज द टेक्नोलॉजिकल डायमेंशन. वी वर आल्सो befriending यूएस फॉर इट्स टेक्नोलॉजी. सेकंड वाज द रोल ऑफ इंडियन, write it down, the role of Indian American diaspora, because so many Indians were settling down in America, so many Americans were visiting India. तो हमारे इंडियन अमेरिकन डायस्पोरा के लिए भी इंडिया और यूएस का रिलेशनशिप बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था. whenever your people are going to any other country for job or to settle down or for medical needs, you have to maintain a good relation with that country. तभी तो they will keep protect your citizens or protect your people. जब आपके लोग दूसरे नेशन में जाते हैं या दूसरे नेशन के लोग आपके नेशन में आते हैं, तो आप दोनों नेशंस को अच्छे रिलेशनशिप रखने पड़ेंगे, तभी तो आपके लोगों की रक्षा हो पाएगी. पॉइंट क्लियर हो रहा है? सो देयर आर दीज डिफरेंट स्ट्रैटेजीज which decide what kind of relationship India should have with US. So there are three groups of analysts that have three different strategies for India to have a good relationship with US. Those Indian analysts who see international politics in terms of only military power, they prefer that India should maintain its safe distance from US and India should focus upon increasing its own national power. वो लोग जो कि दो कंट्रीज के बीच में रिलेशनशिप सिर्फ मिलिट्री एस्पेक्ट से देखते हैं, वो एनालिस्ट ये मानते हैं कि इंडिया को ना अपनी नेशनल पावर को स्ट्रॉन्ग और बढ़ाने में फोकस करना चाहिए. अभी यूएस के साथ एक सेफ डिस्टेंस बना के रखो. Then there are other analysts. They see the growing convergence of interest between US and India as a very historic opportunity for India. India could learn so much in terms of technology, infrastructure, military, etc. from US. तो वो मानते हैं कि इंडिया और यूएस का रिलेशनशिप जो है उसको और हमें डीप और गहरा बनाना चाहिए. And then there is a third group of analysts. They advocate that India should take the lead in establishing the coalition of countries from developing world, just like US did. US ने स्टार्टिंग में क्या किया? जितने भी डेवलपिंग नेशंस थे उन सब की हेल्प से एक कोalition बनाकर अपने आप को और स्ट्रॉन्ग करते गए, और लास्ट में क्या हुआ? डोमिनेंस अपना बना के रखा, वर्चस्व अपना बरकरार किया. तो इंडिया को भी यही करना चाहिए. इंडिया को डेवलपिंग वर्ल्ड, डेवलपिंग कंट्री का एक ग्रुप बना लेना चाहिए और उसको लीड करना चाहिए, उस ग्रुप के लीडर बनना चाहिए और उसकी पावर को एक जगह इकट्ठा करके वर्ल्ड डोमिनेंस या प्री डोमिनेंस अपना स्टैब्लिश करना चाहिए. ओके, सो दैट इंडिया can also later on in the coming years can become a hegemonic power. The second group basically यहाँ पर बोलता है कि India should take advantage of US hegemony. यूएस जो अपना सुपर पावर का टैग लगकर बैठा है, इसका एडवांटेज हमें लेना चाहिए अपनी बात मनवाने के लिए या फिर अपना काम इजी करवाने के लिए। तो ये ऐसे डिफरेंट एनालिस्ट हैं who have different thought processes how India should have a relationship with US. Now basically na India-US relations are too complex to be managed by a single strategy. You cannot take one strategy to manage India-US relationship, to be very honest. India needs to develop a very appropriate mix of these strategies. इन तीनों strategies का ना एक बढ़िया सा mix बनाकर ही इंडिया आगे बढ़ सकती है। किसी एक strategy को हम follow कर ही नहीं सकते because US एक बहुत ही बड़ा nation है। तो इंडिया और यूएस का जो रिलेशनशिप भी है ना काफी कॉम्प्लेक्स है, ये पॉइंट हमें याद रखना है। so far we have studied what is hegemony. It is international system with only one center of power which basically exercises predominance over the other countries. And hegemony is basically of different types. First, hegemony as hard power, second, hegemony as structural power, and third, hegemony as soft power. So when we say hegemony in terms of hard power, it is based on military capabilities of a country, and US has proved it. US today spends more on its military than the next 12 powers, and technologically also there is no match to the US. And hegemony, when we say as structural power, it must sustain global structure in economic sense. And today US has provided global public goods as sea lanes of communications, which we have studied in news also, SLOCs. And there are accounts for 15% of world trade. अगर EU को include कर दे तो US world economy में 20% contribution देता है. US has contributed, basically the basic economic structure also in the forms of IMF, in the forms of degree in MBA. There also US is superior. And hegemony, when we study as soft power, it implies class ascendancy in social, political and ideological spheres. In itself as institutional architecture, US has an open nature of American society. So socially also US is superior. And there is an institutional architecture to keep a check on each of the branches of US government. So there is political sphere also US is superior. And when it comes to ideological sphere, we have NATO to moderate the exercise of American power. तो ये soft power दिखाता है US का. And we know that after the collapse of Soviet Union, India decided to liberalize its economy. So India, and just like India, other nations also are growing close to US. India के साथ साथ बाकी nations भी US के पास आ रहे हैं, ठीक है? So this is the exact meaning and understanding of hegemony. So this is your homework for today. ये है आप लोगों का आज का homework. First question is very easy. What are the constraints on American hegemony today? तो ये हमने पढ़ा था. American hegemony has 3 kinds of constraints. Then second is what is hegemony? The US displayed its military power, thereby establishing its hegemony worldwide. Discuss. So how US established its hegemony through its military power? वो आपको यहाँ पर बताना है. We have studied different operations that it launched. And third question is again easy. 5 marks each. Hegemony you have to explain as structural power and hegemony as soft power. तो बहुत ही easy homework है. तो based on your understanding of this chapter, you have to solve these questions today.